You know that new sound you've been looking for? Well, listen to this. Watch this. Omegahorn episode 1 is fresh, fun fantasy. It delivers on the promise of Project Red being the record of extraordinary heroes. By the way, this is my Project Red shirt. Not really. But it kind of reminds me of some of the logos they have. Anyway, it was a great show. It was fantastic. It was super fun. I love the fact that they basically made a Pokemon Tokusatsu thing. That's like a monster tamer type of show. I'm a little bit confused about some of the world building, but that's a good thing. It seems to be in a fantasy setting where there are these beast hunters and they battle each other for different reasons, and they have almost like a wuxia style, which is like oh gosh, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Master of the Flying Guillotine, that kind of stuff. They almost have that kind of style of names to them. I don't remember what all they are, but the girl with the purple like plesiosaurus sword dinosaur thing calls herself like the wave twister, the wave cutter, I don't know. And the rhino guy with the chain and ball, he calls himself, you know, some such and such the ball chain. And now our main guy becomes Captain Omegahorn thanks to Enkaku, is that his name? Enkaku? Blessing him with that name, renaming him because he's, I don't know if the Omegahorn type beasts, I don't know if they considered themselves to be gods in ancient days, or if they were just, you know, kaiju or whatever. Yeah, so like that's a little bit confusing too, but we have this whole history of the ancients, and the ancients had this advanced technology, I guess, and the great horned beasts were like even more ancient, I think, until they were, you know, they were even more ancient. They were very powerful until their power was taken away and they were sealed away for some reason. So like there's a mystery of that, there's a mystery of this ancient civilization, and then there's the mysteries of the world building, because we see almost like an old west town, and it's where this guy, the guy with the ball and chain, the mace, he comes and attacks and demands that he's like a, you know, like he's like a marauder guy who's saying like, I'm gonna do protection for your town. You guys are gonna feed me for free because I've got this thing, and he's basically coercing them. He's well, anyway, it's an old-fashioned tactic. You know, Seven Samurai, that kind of thing. The raiders, the marauders are going to come and destroy your stuff unless you give them a fee or a tribute or whatever. And this is just kind of the evolution of that, which is I'm going to live here and be amongst you, and you're going to supply things for me because I'm coercing you to. Anyway, that's a subject you probably don't want to get me off on, so I will move on. Our main protagonist, Shout the Fire, which I don't know if that's his name, but it is. He is a treasure hunter, not a hunter, or a beast hunter, whatever. So he doesn't use one of these beast stirring horns, is the translation that I got. He doesn't use one of these megaphone things. And instead he uses a suit that he apparently created for himself, or at least the AI that operates with it, or interoperates with it, he created for himself. He calls her Anna, and frankly that's just adorable. But yeah, he runs around treasure hunting. He has this really interesting, I want to focus a little bit more on the fantasy, then I'll get back to our main guy, Shout. It's a kind of a kit bash world where we have an old west town, then we have like a very techie town or city where these bad guy Team Rocket, I'm drawing Pokemon comparisons because the show's music draws comparisons to Pokemon, let's be honest, as well as the outfit that Shout wears, the fact that he turns his cap back when he's getting ready for a battle, all that stuff screams Ash, or Red, whatever you want to call him. And that stuff is shown later, but before that, I mean the city, and then the kit bash, you know, western town, where people are dressed in kind of old clothes, but also like a suit, a modern normal suit. And then you have these shots, these like kind of longer shots showing the journeying that Shout is doing as he's going from place to place. He's going over dunes, he's in cliffs, he's all over the place, he's climbing things, he's exploring, like he's an explorer and treasure hunter, and you really get to see that by how they just let him have quiet moments where he's running around doing stuff and finding things. And we see him find two things this episode. One, he finds a little arrow gear, I think is what they're calling it in the show. He finds one of those, and it's a repurposed, you know, speaking of kit bashing, it's a repurposed ammo gear from Kavan Infinity, and he goes to sell that, and the guy's like, oh, you're a hunter, aren't you? Why don't you use this? He says, no, I'm a treasure hunter, not a beast hunter. And then the next thing he finds is the Enkaku, and it's weird because he has this tablet that like a stone tablet that has Omega written on it in a non-Japanese language, and it's like digicode, to draw another comparison to something. And let me get back to my point about Shout. When he goes and sells the first error gear and the like pottery and stuff that he found as well, he doesn't get very much money for it, but he has this very hopeful look. There's this moment that passes where he's like kind of calm and serious and wistful, where he's hoping for something, and I feel like there's something he's building towards. Like, it makes me have all sorts of questions, just that silent little pause and that moment of, I don't know, hope or something. It made me pause and think, what is this guy after, and who is he? Because he designed this transformation suit thing for him that it's like a survival suit, I would say, or an adventurer suit or explorer suit. I think those are interesting and neat ways to define it. And he thinks that, he did it for some reason, and he's treasure hunting for some reason, and we don't really know why. And he has this stone tablet, and that leads him ultimately to finding Enkaku and whatever, and the megaphone. And he has this very strong desire that Enkaku appreciates. And Enkaku, which I love the fact that Enkaku talks, and they did great puppeteering. They did this awesome close-up shot of him. I'll probably use it for the thumbnail, where he's like just sitting there with all this fire up behind him, I think, and he's talking, and it just feels very grand and mystical and fun and different. Very cool, very interesting. And then I love the fact that he turns into a human, or he has a human form that he takes in order to travel around with Shout. But he says something to Shout about how his ego and his strong desire to do like what he wants to do have stirred his heart and like made him want to work with him and follow him. And Enkaku says something really interesting. He says that something about like he's engraving Shout's name onto his heart because of like who he is and what he is, like the kind of person he is. He's impressed him that much, and he's like binding himself to him for some reason. What does that mean? What are the implications? I don't know. This is a whole new world. It's a whole new show. We have a whole different scenario, and we don't really know what kind of world this is. And that's part of the fun. It's new and mysterious, and we get to explore all its like secrets and all the different dynamics of it. We know that beast hunters battle each other because he battles these twin beast hunters at the end. And Enkaku encourages him to, even though he doesn't really want to, because he says he's a treasure hunter, not a beast hunter. So beast hunter has its own connotation. It feels kind of like a Pokemon trainer, but also like a battler, because the sword girl and the chain ball guy, the mace guy, it's like they invoke the power of these beasts into their weapons, and then they're able to do all sorts of crazy things with them, which is super interesting. And it kind of reminds me of like all the interesting little bits of like flavor text world building stuff we get in Pokemon games. Like I'm like a super casual. I played like like Gen 1, 2, 3, maybe that far. I know we played Gold and Silver and Crystal, but I feel like that's Gen 2. Anyway, so I'm a casual. But like I remember in one of the towns where you fight Lieutenant Surge, there's the guy who has like a Machamp who's like pounding the ground to like prepare the earth for a building going there, or like a foundation being laid or something like that. And there's other instances of people using their Pokemon for things to help them. And I wonder if there are beast hunters who have beasts that are out doing stuff for like, positive purposes, or if they channel the power of the beast in order to do certain things with their, megaphones and arrow gears that they have. And then there's a really cool detail where as soon as you beat somebody in a beast hunter battle, their arrow gear flies out and it goes to you. Super cool detail, super like kind of a small detail, but also like very meaningful and fun, and it builds another fantasy world building question, like why does it do that? What are the rules behind it? What are the rules governing these things, and how do they work? Maybe it's because kind of like how Enkaku was like enchanted by by Shout and decided to like bond himself to him. Maybe when a beast recognizes something great in a human, like a victory over another, they're like, oh, I'm gonna go with you now. And like that's interesting, because like what does that imply and what does that mean? And there's just so many questions, there's so many fun things to explore. It's like a wide open world, and it's just like I said, fun, fresh fantasy. That's what this is. And honestly, I think against my will, I'm going to be watching more of this show, and I think I'm going to enjoy it, especially if it doesn't settle down into something like repetitive and kind of goofy, which it could just turn into beast hunter battle after beast hunter battle. But I think, like, I want the freshness of different scenarios. I want the exploration to be to stay important. I want to learn like what Shout is after, and I don't know, I just want to go on this journey with them, and I think that's the best compliment you could say. Gavon Infinity I didn't stick with because it didn't seem very interesting to me. There were, like, the emo gears were lame. They look better now, and anyway, I could complain about Gavon Infinity, but let's just say it didn't hold my attention, and that's why I stopped watching it, and that's why I didn't cover it at all. But Omegahorn, for now, has my attention, and I feel like this is what they should have started with. But I'm glad it's here now. I'm not going to complain about the past. I'm going to let it go and just keep moving on into the future. And anyway, I encourage you to do the same thing with me. Let's move on to the future together. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, leave them in the comment section for me. I would love to hear what you have to say about this episode, because I said kind of a lot. I'd like to know what you think about it as well. Also, check the pinned comment for a link to my inspector's notes, where I will dive deeper into this episode. I have lots of other things I want to talk about, lots of things I couldn't get to, and I will talk about those things there. And I don't know if there's a meme or not, but I like to do little extra things like that. Where my inspector's notes are, I have the opportunity to post all sorts of images and memes and different extra content, and that's what I'm planning to do. So anyway, check that out. It's going to be pinned. It's going to be the pinned comment, so check that out, and I hope to hear from you in the future. I don't know if this is going on Henshin Inspection or where it's going, but yeah, probably. This is MJ with Henshin Inspection signing out. You can always find all my stuff at mjmunoz.com, MJMUNOZ. There will be links in the description and everywhere else. So until next time, folks, take care and be well.